Good morning, folks. Welcome back to my kitchen. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a beautiful Thursday in northern Alberta. So, I think I have survivor's guilt. In 2016, the Horse River wildfire forced the evacuation of Fort McMurray, and large parts of the community were burned. People lost their homes and all their possessions. Some people lost their livelihood. Thankfully, the evacuation was not marked by a major loss of life, although any loss of life is major, and there was at least one incident where someone did lose their life, but it was on the road and not in the community itself. The day of the wildfire, we were on our way south. We were on our way south to go to Calgary because my daughter Evelyn was born with a cleft lip and palate, and she was born 3 weeks before the evacuation. And the day of the evacuation was the day before her first appointment in Calgary. So we were traveling to Calgary to spend the night and then go to the hospital the next day for assessment and get ready for all the things that needed to happen for her to have surgery to her lip, to seal up the clefts, the bilateral cleft in her lip. We were traveling south, and by 10 o'clock in the morning we had gotten to a little place called Mariana Lake and stopped to feed Evelyn because, being a newborn, she needed to feed pretty frequently. Turn around and there is a huge cloud of smoke over Fort McMurray. Not long after that, we started hearing the reports of the evacuation, and the traffic was starting to catch up. And that was May the 6th of 2016. And from that moment, our complete family didn't come home until the end of October of 2016. I tell you this because this past week, a new wildfire near the Birch Mountain wildlands along the Athabasca in the Horse River Valley started south of Fort McMurray, and we were home this time. Now the situation is quite different. There is the benefit of experience, and different levels of government and firefighters communicated much more effectively. There was a much more present idea that it could happen to us, therefore we should err on the side of caution. And when the fire came within 10 kilometers of the community, and more importantly 10 kilometers of our only egress out of town, some neighborhoods in the community were evacuated, and all the schools shut down. And with the schools shut down, Natasha and I decided that we would take the kids and go south. Natasha had to stay because our community was not evacuated, and her employer requires her to stay until there's an evacuation notice. So the kids and I left town. The reason the survivor's guilt comes up is because as I was loading the truck, so in 2016 we were getting ready to go. We packed a few days worth of clothes, we packed some snacks for the road, we got in our vehicle, we drove south. It was not a panic, it wasn't, we had no idea what was coming. The people who were evacuated, especially those in the communities most affected, places like Beacon Hill, Abasant, Grayling Terrace, some of them were quite literally trying to leave as their vehicles were catching on fire, as burning branches were coming down around them. We didn't have that. Yet, when I was throwing some clothes and some important documents and some food into the truck, preparing to take the girls south, I looked to the southwest, and the sky was orange and black. The orange from the flames was reflecting off the bottom of the smoke cloud, and all of the panic and the guilt and the anxiety from being displaced for 6 months in 2016 came rushing back, and I felt an overwhelming desire to get out and get out now. I say this because I think that summer's going to be rough. I think that despite the recent rains that have certainly helped to bring this most recent wildfire under a status of being held, where they're now searching out hot spots and hopefully moving it to a state of being under control, that's not likely to last. All of Alberta is in a drought condition, and there are wildfires all over the north, in British Columbia, in northern Saskatchewan, in Nunavut and the Yukon and the Northwest Territories. And I think that this is probably going to be part of our existence until those drought conditions change. And I wanted to let you all know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to feel that panic and that anxiety over something so incredibly overwhelming. It would be weird if you didn't. I want you to, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, give yourself grace and the space to feel whatever it is that you need to feel, knowing that this is a temporary status. A phrase I like to use a lot is hope for the best, but plan for the worst. So I have a spot with all of our important documents, our healthcare cards, our birth certificates, our passports, our insurance documents, so that if this thing that used to be a vague possibility becomes more immediate again, I can pick up and I can go. I don't want it to happen. I'm hopeful that it will not happen. But, I don't remember which philosopher said it, but love everyone, but don't sell your sword. You have to prepare you don't have to. It is good to be prepared for that thing that is just an eventuality, but could happen. I think that we're especially here in Fort McMurray, we're going to be experiencing some very trying times as we navigate this condition. there are other things that are affecting the community. Job losses, tightening of belts, economic, I won't say hardship, but there's a bit of austerity happening. But I think that this is everywhere. This is across the country. When I say everywhere, I mean everywhere in Canada. Where there are new dynamics to this generation coming into play. It's not the first time that forest fires have been happening. It's not the first time we've seen drought. It's not the first time we've seen economic hardship or conflict between levels of government. But that has no bearing on whether or not you as a human being allow yourself love and grace and the opportunity to feel what you need to feel. And more importantly, that you allow your fellow human beings love and grace and the opportunity to feel what they need to feel. So there's my video for this week. I hope it provides some insight and some ability for you to introspect and discover more about yourself. Because at the end of the day, I love you all. Have a great day.